Here's the story rephrased for a narrated personal story video, optimized for an emotionally powerful and conversational tone. Her words hit me like a physical blow, sharper than any knife. How could you forget something so basic, Clara? Emily would never be so careless. In that instant, the simmering frustration inside me ignited into a furious, silent rage. I froze mid-stir, my grip tightening on the wooden spoon until my knuckles ached. My chest felt like it was in a vice. The rich aroma of the simmering soup usually brought me comfort, but now all I could smell was the bitter tang of Beatrice's disapproval. My name's Clara Mason, I'm 32, a nurse, and for the past 3 grueling weeks, I'd been the living caregiver for my recovering mother-in-law. When Beatrice had surgery last month, I packed my bags, moved into her house, and committed to balancing my demanding hospital shifts with endless, exhausting nights by her side. I did it because it felt like the right thing to do, not out of obligation. I truly hoped this intense, shared experience might finally melt the icy distance that had always defined our relationship. But no matter what I did, how much I sacrificed, my efforts seemed utterly invisible. Always overshadowed by Emily, her perfect daughter, who'd breeze in once a week, flash a camera-ready smile, and vanish just as quickly. My throat felt dry, words catching like thorns in my chest. Beatrice, oblivious to the storm raging inside me, turned back to the table, muttering under her breath. Her disapproval settled over the kitchen like a thick, suffocating fog. Emily, of course, was nowhere to be found. She was already late for her carefully orchestrated weekly appearance, yet Beatrice spoke of her as if she were the one standing here, ladle in hand, tirelessly tending to her every need. Careless. That word wasn't just a criticism. It was a knife twisting in my gut. For 3 weeks I'd given up everything. Canceled plans, traded shifts, even missed my anniversary dinner with Ben. All of it to be here, round the clock, only to be branded careless because I hadn't added enough salt to the soup. Meanwhile, Emily could swan in for an hour, snap a selfie by Beatrice's bedside, and waltz out with all the credit. I stared into the pot, my hand trembling as I stirred. The anger, a deep hot wave, began to bubble just below the surface. It wasn't merely Beatrice's cruel words. It was the sheer smugness Emily exuded, the effortless way she orchestrated every one of her visits. She knew exactly how to frame herself as the devoted daughter, and she knew I wouldn't fight back. At least not until now. Just as I finally opened my mouth, ready to unleash weeks of pent-up frustration, the front door creaked open. Emily strolled in, her heels clicking a rhythmic, irritating tattoo against the hardwood. "Smells good in here," she chirped, holding a pristine bouquet in one hand and her phone in the other, as if she just dropped by to sprinkle sunshine everywhere. She spared me a brief, overly sweet glance, her smile lingering a second too long, before her attention snapped to Beatrice. "How's my favorite patient today?" she cooed, leaning down to plant a kiss on her mother's cheek. Beatrice's face, moments ago etched with frustration, completely transformed, lighting up like a Christmas tree. "Emily, sweetheart, you're just in time. I was telling Clara how important it is to pay attention to the little things." "Not that she'd understand," she added, with a pointed, dismissive glance my way. Emily set the flowers on the counter and let out a soft, almost theatrical laugh. "Oh, Mom, I'm sure Clara's doing her best," she said, her voice dripping with syrupy sweetness. She turned to me, her expression utterly unreadable. "Don't worry, Clara. Taking care of Mom isn't easy. I've been learning that myself." I clenched my jaw, a retort hanging on the tip of my tongue, begging to be said. But Emily was already moving, pulling out her phone for the inevitable photo op. She posed next to Beatrice, leaning in with a radiant smile as her camera clicked. "Just want to capture these precious moments," she said, her voice light, innocent, as if she hadn't just stolen the spotlight from everything I'd been tirelessly working to hold together. As Emily scrolled through her phone, no doubt perfecting the ideal filter for her devoted daughter persona, Beatrice sighed, utterly content. "It's so nice to have both my girls here," she purred, her gaze lingering almost exclusively on Emily. Though I'll admit, Emily always knows just how to make me feel special. My grip on the ladle tightened until my fingers ached. Both her girls? Special? I had just spent the last 3 nights waking up every 2 hours, helping Beatrice shift positions, meticulously preparing her medications, ensuring she was comfortable. Meanwhile, Emily's entire contribution amounted to a few curated snapshots and vague reassurances that she was always thinking of Mom. Mom, Emily began, her tone casually breezy. I was actually thinking of bringing you that herbal tea you love next week. You know, the one from that little shop downtown. It's just been so busy at work, but I'll make time. Oh, Emily, that sounds wonderful, Beatrice exclaimed, her eyes practically glowing with pride. You're always so thoughtful. I couldn't stop myself this time. The words just burst out. Thoughtful. I blurted, my voice sharper than I intended, laced with pure disbelief. Both Beatrice and Emily snapped their heads towards me, Beatrice's brows knitting together in utter confusion. She drops by once a week to take a few photos and then disappears. I've been here every single day, doing everything I can to make sure you're comfortable. Emily's smile didn't falter. If anything, it stretched a little wider. But her eyes, they flashed with something cold, calculating. Clara, she said, her voice calm and chillingly measured. I didn't realize this was a competition. We're all doing our part in our own way. Some more than others, I muttered under my breath, turning back to the stove, unable to hold her gaze. I could feel the tension in the room shift, suddenly thick and suffocating. But I wasn't about to let her patronizing tone get the last word. The moment those words left my mouth, a wave of regret washed over me. Even though I knew deep down I was absolutely right, I hated that I'd let my frustration spill over. I hated that I'd stooped to making it sound like I was keeping score. That wasn't who I wanted to be, no matter how profoundly unfair things felt. By the way, if you're still with me on this wild ride, please hit that subscribe button. More unbelievable stories are coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Later that evening, I retreated to the guest room, shutting the door quietly behind me, craving any shred of privacy. I sank onto the edge of the bed, my phone already in my hand. Ben picked up on the second ring, his voice warm, though I could tell he was distracted. Hey, everything okay? No, I blurted, the word tumbling out before I could even stop it. I'm exhausted, Ben. I've been doing everything for your mom, everything, and she doesn't even notice. Emily just swans in for 10 minutes with flowers and a fake smile. And suddenly she's the perfect daughter. Ben sighed heavily on the other end, the sound crackling through the speaker. Clara, you know how my mom is. She's always been like this. You can't take it personally. I know she's like this. I snapped, my voice sharper than I intended. But that doesn't make it any easier. Do you have any idea what it feels like to be here, day in and day out, and still be completely invisible? I stopped, swallowing the painful lump in my throat. I just needed you to understand. Ben's voice softened, a hint of genuine concern cutting through his usual practicality. Clara, maybe it's time to take a break. You've done more than enough. You've done everything honestly. Why don't you come home for a week? Let Emily step up for once. I miss you and you need to take care of yourself too. His words caught me completely off guard. The tight knot in my chest loosened slightly, a tiny spark of hope flickering. The thought of going home, of sleeping in my own bed, of being with Ben. It was so tempting it almost hurt. But then my mind conjured Beatrice, her unexpected frailty, her stubborn pride, and the nagging guilt, that insidious feeling returned. I don't know, I said quietly. What if she needs me? She'll manage, Ben said firmly. You've been more than generous, Clara. It's okay to step back. You're not a bad person for putting yourself first for once. Ben and I live 2 hours away, in the small apartment we'd made our home over the last 5 years. When Beatrice's surgery was scheduled, I'd offered to move in temporarily to help with her recovery. Ben had wanted to be there too. He adored his mom despite her quirks, but his job was at a critical point with deadlines he couldn't ignore. He'd called every single day to check in, always asking how I was holding up, but I knew it weighed heavily on him that he couldn't be here to share the burden. As much as I missed him, I couldn't blame him. He was doing the best he could, just like I was. I sighed, gripping the phone a little tighter. I don't know, Ben, I said finally. It's not that I don't want to come home. I do. I miss you and I'm exhausted. But I can't just leave her like this. She still needs someone here. There was a brief silence on the other end before Ben spoke again, his voice calm but firm. I get it, Clara. You care about her even if she doesn't always show it. Just think about it, okay? You've done so much already. It's not selfish to take care of yourself too. I'll think about it, I said quietly, my throat tightening. I promise. It felt like the right thing to say, even though in my heart, I wasn't sure if I could ever really let myself walk away. The next morning, I found Beatrice in the living room, sitting upright in her armchair, the television murmuring softly. She didn't even look up as I entered, her attention fixed on a mundane weather report. I hesitated, wondering if a simple good morning would even be received, but before I could speak, she turned to me with that familiar, pointed look. Clara, she said, her tone already laced with irritation. I couldn't help but notice how late dinner was last night. It's not good for my digestion to eat that late, you know? I blinked, completely taken aback. Dinner had been ready the moment Emily left. I thought we agreed. Yes, because you didn't have it prepared earlier, she interrupted, her words sharp, cutting. When Emily is here, everything feels more put together. She doesn't need to be told what to do. I clenched my hands at my sides, biting back the furious words screaming to be let out. Emily stayed for less than an hour, I replied carefully, my voice tightly controlled. She didn't even stay for dinner. That's not the point, Beatrice snapped, leaning forward slightly, her eyes narrowing. Emily knows how to handle herself. She doesn't wait for me to tell her when or how to do things. She's considered. I let out a slow, deliberate breath, fighting to keep my composure. I've been here every day, Beatrice. I've been doing everything I can to make sure you're comfortable. And yet somehow it always feels like a struggle, she shot back, her voice growing colder, more dismissive. You're here physically, Clara, but emotionally you're checked out. You don't seem like you actually want to be here. Her words struck me like a physical blow, a punch to the gut. My chest tightened, breath catching. That's not fair, I said, my voice trembling despite my desperate efforts to stay calm. I've put my life on hold to be here for you. I've been sacrificing. Oh, how noble of you, she cut in, her tone dripping with biting sarcasm. If it's such a burden, Clara, maybe you should have just let Emily handle it. She's busy, yes, but at least she doesn't make me feel like I'm an inconvenience. I opened my mouth, then closed it, utterly unsure of how to respond. The hurt and white-hot anger bubbled inside me, but I knew saying anything more would only make it infinitely worse. Instead, I straightened my posture, my voice quiet but firm. I'm doing my best, Beatrice. I'm sorry if that's not enough. She waved a hand dismissively, turning back to the television, the conversation clearly over for her. Your best isn't what I need, Clara. Emily understands me in ways you never will. The room felt suffocating, her cruel words hanging in the air like toxic smoke. Without another word, I turned and left, retreating to the quiet solitude of the guest room to collect myself. Tears pricked at my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not yet. Not in front of her. Sitting on the edge of the guest bed, I stared at the neatly folded clothes in my suitcase, my thoughts swirling in a dizzying tempest. Beatrice's brutal words replayed in my mind, each one digging deeper into the raw ache that had been building for weeks. No matter how much I gave, how much I tried, it was never enough. And it never would be. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my messages, landing on the last one from Ben. You've done enough, Clara. Please come home. The words felt heavier now, but they also carried a startling clarity I hadn't wanted to admit before. Ben was right. I had done enough. I'd given up my time, my energy, and my very peace of mind, all to be here, foolishly hoping it might make a difference. But nothing I did would ever compare to the impossibly high pedestal Beatrice had placed Emily on. I couldn't keep sacrificing myself for someone who didn't truly see me, who didn't value what I was giving. I let out a shaky breath, wiping away the tears that finally threatened to spill. This wasn't about giving up. It was about knowing when I'd finally reached my absolute limit. For my own sanity, I had to stop waiting for Beatrice's approval. I had to go home. I decided I had to talk to Beatrice that afternoon. The air between us was thick, heavy with everything that had been left unsaid. My heart pounded against my ribs as I stepped forward, utterly determined to finally speak my mind. Beatrice, I began, my voice steady but soft, I need to talk to you. She glanced up briefly, her expression unreadable. If this is about dinner tonight, I'd rather you focus on getting it right than wasting time chatting. My jaw tightened, but I pushed through. No, it's not about dinner. It's about how I've been treated since I got here. Her hand froze mid-stir, and she finally looked at me, one eyebrow arched in dismissive challenge. Oh? And how, exactly, have you been treated, Clara? I took a deep, fortifying breath, the words spilling out before I could second-guess myself. I've been here every single day, doing everything I can to take care of you. I've rearranged my entire life, missed important moments, and given you all of my energy. And yet, no matter what I do, it's never enough. You've made it clear time and time again that you don't value me. And honestly, I'm tired of being treated like I'm worthless. She set her spoon down with a deliberate, cold clink, folding her hands in front of her. Well, she said coolly, a cruel smile playing on her lips. If you're tired, Clara, no one's forcing you to stay. Frankly, Emily would do a much better job anyway. She always has. Her words stung sharper than I'd expected, a fresh wound, but I refused to let her see how much they hurt. Emily isn't here, Beatrice, I said, my voice firmer now, unwavering. She's never here for more than an hour or two. I've been the one taking care of you. But if you think she can do better, then fine. I'm done. Beatrice didn't flinch, her expression hard as stone. Good, she said with disdain, a venomous edge to her voice. I won't miss the complaining, at least. Emily knows how to show respect. I nodded slowly, the chilling finality of her words settling over me like a cold, inescapable weight. I hope she can give you what you need, I said quietly, a quiet strength in my tone, because I won't be back. Without waiting for her response, I turned and walked away, my chest tight with a mix of pain and liberation, but my head held high. It was over. I was done. Back in the guest room, I packed my things with quiet, resolute determination. Each folded piece of clothing felt like another crushing weight lifted from my shoulders. Beatrice's cutting words still echoed in my ears, but I forcefully shoved them aside. It was over. I was done bending myself into impossible knots for someone who didn't value me, not even for a second. Once everything was packed, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at my phone. My thumb hovered over Emily's number for a long moment before I finally pressed call. The line rang several times before she finally picked up. What is it, Clara? Emily answered, her tone clipped, impatient. I'm kind of busy right now. I took a deep breath, refusing to let her attitude get to me. I'm leaving, I said simply, my voice unwavering. I've packed my things and I'm heading home. Beatrice needs someone here, so congratulations. You're up. What? She snapped, her voice immediately rising, laced with disbelief. Wait, what are you talking about? You can't just leave. I can, and I am, I said firmly. I've done my part, Emily. It's your turn now. She let out a high-pitched, incredulous laugh, the kind that came more from disbelief than amusement. Oh, sure, just drop everything on me, why don't you? Do you have any idea how busy I am? I can't just. I've been here for weeks. I cut in, my voice steady, unyielding. You've had time to prepare for this. Mom's your responsibility too. And she seems to think you're better at this anyway. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Are you kidding me? Emily shrieked, her tone growing more frantic, desperate. I don't have time to babysit her. That's your thing, Clara. You're the caretaker, not me. Not anymore, I said, my voice cold, detached. Good luck, Emily. Before she could even respond, I hung up, exhaling a shaky, liberating breath. I stood, grabbed my suitcase, and headed for the door. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. It was time to leave. 4 days. 4 long, quiet days had passed since I left, and I tried my absolute best not to think about what might be happening back at Beatrice's house. But then when my phone buzzed late that evening, I saw her name flashing on the screen. A part of me screamed to ignore it, to let it ring, but curiosity, and maybe, just maybe, a sliver of lingering guilt got the better of me. Picked up. Hello, I said cautiously, my heart doing a nervous flutter. Clara. Beatrice's voice came through, shaky and strained. She sounded utterly different, tired, yes, but also desperate. I need to talk to you. I hesitated, unsure of what to say. Is everything okay? No, she admitted, the word heavy with frustration, and something else I couldn't quite place. Emily hasn't been here since you left. She's barely answering my calls, and when she does, she has some new excuse about work or being too busy. She promised me she'd be here. I bit my lip, resisting the overwhelming urge to scream. I told you so. Instead, I stayed quiet, letting her vent, letting the consequences of her choices unfold. I've had to do everything on my own, Beatrice continued, her voice trembling, close to breaking. I can't even manage the stairs some days. I don't know what to do, Clara. I feel completely abandoned. Her words hit me harder than I expected, stirring a turbulent mixture of emotions. A faint flicker of sympathy, a strong wave of vindication, and that lingering familiar ache of resentment. She had treated me like I was nothing, and now finally she was realizing what it truly meant to feel utterly alone. I'm sorry to hear that, Beatrice, I said finally, my tone carefully neutral. But I warned you this might happen. Emily's good at saying the right things, but she's never been the one to follow through. There was a long pause, and then, for the first time, Beatrice's voice softened, a hint of vulnerability creeping in. I didn't think she'd just leave me like this. I thought she cared. I stayed silent, not wanting to twist the knife, but a bitter satisfaction settled over me. Beatrice was finally feeling the raw, painful consequences of her blatant favoritism. And while a small, vengeful part of me felt justified, another part couldn't help but feel a pang of genuine sorrow for her. I took a deep breath, clutching the phone tightly. Beatrice, I'm sorry you're feeling this way. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I began, my voice quiet but steady. But I can't just come back. Not right now. What do you mean, not right now? She snapped, her tone immediately sharp, the vulnerability gone. I mean, I can't drop everything again to move back in, I said firmly, though my heart ached as I spoke, knowing the truth of my words would cut deep. Beatrice, you treated me like I was nothing when I was there. I gave everything I could, and you made me feel like I didn't matter. I can't put myself through that again. Her response was immediate and furious. Oh, so now you're going to hold a grudge, are you? She yelled, her voice rising, venomous. You think you're so perfect, Clara? You think I didn't notice the mistakes you made while you were here? Don't act like you're some martyr. You've never been good enough for this family, and now you're proving it. Her words hit like a brutal slap, but I kept my voice calm, refusing to escalate. Beatrice, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I know I made mistakes, but I tried. I gave everything I had, and you never saw that. And now, after everything, you expect me to come back as if none of that happened. She let out a bitter, mocking laugh, her tone dripping with anger. I should have known. You're just like everyone else, selfish. At least Emily would never abandon me like this. Emily already has, I said quietly, the words hanging in the tense, silent air between us. There was a stunned silence on the other end, a momentary shock before she exploded again. Don't you dare talk about Emily like that. She has her reasons. Unlike you, who's just looking for an excuse to quit. Tears welled in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I'm sorry you feel that way, Beatrice, but I can't come back. Not like this. Before she could yell another word, I ended the call, my hands trembling. The brutal weight of her words sat heavy on my chest. A physical ache, but deep down I knew I couldn't go back. Not now. And maybe not ever. 5 agonizing days passed. I tried to move on, to actively push the memories of Beatrice's anger, her scathing words, to the very back of my mind. I was slowly, cautiously, starting to feel a fragile sense of peace again, held together by long solitary walks and the comforting conversations with Ben. Then late in the evening my phone buzzed. It was her. I stared at the screen for a long moment, my heart leaping, debating whether to answer. With a deep, bracing breath I picked up. Hello. Clara. Beatrice's voice broke on the other end, shaky and completely choked with tears. Clara, I'm so sorry. Her sobs were raw, uncontrolled, her words tumbling out in desperate fragments. I don't know what to say. I've been sitting here thinking about everything, and I can't believe how awful I was to you. You didn't deserve any of it. I don't even know why I acted like that. You gave so much and I threw it back in your face. I sat down, stunned, completely speechless. Beatrice, I started, but she cut me off, her voice pleading. No, let me finish, she begged, her voice trembling. I've been so unfair to you, Clara, so blind. You didn't have to come here, but you did. You took care of me when no one else would, and I treated you so terribly. Her sobs deepened and my chest tightened, a strange mix of emotions swirling inside me. I regret it so much, she choked out. Emily hasn't been here in days and now I see it. I see what you were saying all along. I need you to know how sorry I am. I didn't deserve your kindness, but you gave it anyway. Tears pricked at my eyes, her raw sincerity finally cutting through the deep, lingering pain I'd been carrying for so long. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. Thank you, Beatrice, I said softly, the words quiet but profoundly meaningful. That means more than you know. I don't expect you to forgive me, she whispered, her voice cracking with residual tears. But I had to tell you. I'm so sorry. I sat in silence for a moment, letting her heartfelt words sink in, truly absorbing them. I'll need time, I said finally, my voice gentle but firm. But I appreciate your apology. It's a start. It is, she said, her sobs quieting, a glimmer of hope in her voice. I'll try to do better, Clara. I promise. When the call finally ended, I slowly set the phone down. My heart felt heavy yet lighter all at once. A strange, beautiful paradox. For the first time it felt like there was a path forward, however slow or uncertain it might be. And truly, everything was different after Beatrice fully recovered. She treated me with a kindness and gratitude I'd only ever dreamed of. Her sharp, critical edges were replaced by genuine warmth, a quiet appreciation. Each visit was lighter, filled with moments of real connection instead of the usual suffocating tension. Beatrice went out of her way to show her appreciation, to mend what she had broken. And while the painful past could never be erased, it no longer weighed us down, no longer defined us. For the first time I felt truly valued, truly seen. And that, my friends, made all the difference. This whole experience taught me so much about standing up for myself, and the importance of setting boundaries, even with family. So tell me, what would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to draw a line with a difficult family member? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I truly want to hear your stories.